Welcome to the Omnia Sol Art Show, also known as TOSAS, the only glitch art video podcast hosted by Omnia Sol. And without further ado, here is your host, Omnia Sol, for episode 2 of the Omnia Sol Art Show. Hope you enjoy it. What is up, everybody? Hope you are having a good day today. Welcome to the Omnia Sol Art Show. This is episode 2 of the show, and as you can tell by my voice, I have figured out how to use Autotune. So I'm not going to use that for the full episode because that might get annoying, but I am going to use it from time to time just as a fun, make this episode a little more fun because I think that Autotune is the future. And this is not the first podcast to utilize Autotune, obviously. That would be Hannibal Buress. So shouts out to the Handsome Rambler for really being the first podcast to utilize Autotune. But I've always wanted to use Autotune, and I figured out how to use a free plugin, and we are going to have fun today. About to turn this Autotune off, but from time to time, I will be Autotune for different segments and whatnot, and we're just going to have a grand old time. All right, folks, so tonight, or today, or whenever you're watching this, since this isn't a live show anymore, we are glitching a variety of VHS tapes. We have one that is a wildlife desert animal tape, and we've got a classic, a popcorn classic, which may or may not get us a copyright claim. I don't think it will because it's glitched enough that I don't think it will, but who knows, because the bots on YouTube are incredible with this. But there's also, so we're doing the desert wildlife. We are doing a popcorn classic, Godzilla versus Megalon, some clips from that. And we are also glitching, there are some clips from one of my all-time favorite animes, Samurai X, the Trust tape, which is, I have a couple copies of this because this is my damaged copy because I originally got it for $1 from a store, and then I don't know if it got dust or cat hair on the tape or what happened to it, but it got very damaged, and so it's perfect for making glitch art with. It's not great for watching because there's giant just like gray bars of damage that go across the screen, makes it kind of unwatchable. But yeah, we're glitching this variety of different tapes, and we are also using not the first time for me, but definitely the first time on the show, we're using a different glitch art video processor tonight. This one was the first one that I ever used, and it just made me fall in love with glitch art. I had done some digital glitch art with still imagery before, with taking stuff into like messing with the HTML of a photograph, or sometimes bringing it into, what is the program called? Audacity? Yeah, Audacity. And then bringing in as a raw data file and putting various sound effects on it, and then exporting it as a BMP and seeing what effects you get. But this was my first time ever doing analog glitch art with a circuit bending device that my friend Katie hooked me up with. This one. This is one that she had been gifted, and I decided to give it a try and really like how it turned out. Definitely glad to have this piece of machinery added to my arsenal, thanks to Katie. So go to as a thank you, please, if you're listening to this podcast, go check out Katie's art. She does paintings of VHS tapes, which is very fitting for the show. If you're watching the show, you probably like VHS. Maybe you don't, maybe you hate VHS, but go check out VHS Girl on Instagram. It's spelled exactly how it sounds, and go buy a painting from her. Go support some artists who are working, who are helping this show manifest into the show of my dreams. I've decided to name this new piece of equipment. It's quite bigger than my Fluxus Duo. My Fluxus Duo, which I have joint custody with my friend Mitch, is named Charlie after the great pop star Charlie XCX. But this machine, the name has just been calling to me. I gotta name it Julie. It's a Julie. She's a Julie. Like, you take one look at her and you're like, yeah, that piece of equipment is definitely a Julie. So we're glitching with Julie, and we're going to do some glitching. Like, obviously we're not switching to Julie entirely, but I wanted to do some test runs. Very different piece of equipment than the Fluxus Duo. Like, everything on this is like switches as opposed to knobs. So it's like, you don't get the amount of variation that I can with Charlie sometimes, but maybe it's just because I haven't figured out all the nooks and crannies of the equipment yet. But as I progress in it, this show's just going to get better. I am excited. I hope you are as excited as I am. You're probably not as excited as I am, but I hope that you are still excited. So a little bit about my week. I've decided that I need a new podcast to sleep to. So if you have any suggestions on sleep podcasts, I know there are podcasts out there that are specifically made for this is supposed to help you sleep, but every one of those I've tried, I have not really enjoyed. There's always a part of it that takes me out. A lot of times people start these sleep podcasts thinking that they have a boring voice that helps people to go to sleep, and I get so bored that it keeps me awake. Whereas the podcast that I have used in the past to fall asleep, it's a podcast called Knowledge Fight out of Chicago that analyzes the Alex Jones show and points out all the time that he's lying, he's grifting, and the problem with it, well, the good thing about it is that one of the hosts, Dan, has the perfect radio voice, just the best voice for radio that I have ever heard. It's just buttery and soft, and it's the perfect voice to drift off into dreamland. My only problem with it is that I am not a fan of having the clips of Alex Jones slipping into my subconscious. And they have even said, like, don't fall asleep to this podcast. I didn't listen. I still do it. But it's like Alex Jones is such a pure evil person. He is just the epitome of, like, if there are demons, that man is possessed by a demon. I don't know if there are demons. I do know that he is a very traumatized man, a man who is so insecure with his masculinity and his heterosexuality that he just lashes out at everyone. He is just the epitome of evil, and I don't want that seeping into my subconscious. So I am looking for new podcasts to fall asleep to. If Dan ever decides to make a podcast where he is not talking about Alex Jones and is just talking about his day-to-day life, that would be my ideal podcast. Because I got to say, this man has a buttery voice. It is the best radio voice I have ever heard. I tried falling asleep to my own podcast. That didn't really work because there's something about listening to your own voice that just takes you out of dreamland. And also the music I like to put on the show, it's just not sleepy time music. So if you have any suggestions, reach out to me, comment below, email me at omniasolart@gmail.com. Give me some podcasts that I can fall asleep to. So on the subject of sleep, one bad habit that I have upon waking up that I'm sure a lot of us have in this day of technology and cell phones and social media is that when I wake up, one of the first things I do before I even get out of bed, before I even put my feet on that cold ground, cold hard floor, put my slippers on, before any of that, while still laying in bed, while I'm wiping the crust out of my eyes, saying goodbye to the Sandman, the first thing I do is I go on Twitter or TikTok or Instagram or any of these social medias. I don't use Facebook anymore. Thank fucking God. That app is a fucking shit show. Instagram's not much better. Still owned by the same evil person. But the first thing I do is I look at social media, and I really want to start to get out of that habit because it's not I don't think it's good for my mental health. I don't think it's good for anyone's mental health to the first thing you do in waking up is to bombard your brain with images and words, that thoughts that are not your own, essentially. You're just coming out of this dream state. You're still in this, I don't know, remember if it's the hypnagogic or the there's a word for in between waking and dream. And it's a different one for falling asleep than it is for waking up. So I don't know which one it is. But anyways, I don't think it's mentally healthy to be looking at social media like that. I want to get out of that habit and start to like be more intentional with the first thing I wake up. One thing that I have started doing that I've been very much enjoying is I'll start my day with an English breakfast tea. Before I even eat breakfast, I will make an English breakfast tea with a little bit of sugar in the raw and a little bit of almond milk. And that is really, it's done wonders for my mental health. Like not doing coffee anymore. There's still caffeine, but my stomach just reacts so much better to the tea than it ever did with coffee. But two, it's just the setting the intention with the tea. I like to stir it, and I kind of do sort of a, I don't want to call it a spell, but like an ode to Asclepius, the god of medicine. And I ask for healing while I'm stirring my tea. And it really just, it makes the day so much better to have that intention going into the day and kind of not really meditating, but while drinking the tea, having that start my day. So I think this week, if you want to try it out too, I'd recommend it, but I'm going to try to, when I wake up, no social media until after I've had my tea. Don't tweet at me until after I've had my morning tea. I'm going to give that a try. I'll let you know next week how it goes, if it's working out for me, if I feel mentally in a better place by doing that. So next up, speaking of tea, one of my favorite segments of the show, which I didn't make an auto-tune segment for this, so let me go ahead and make an auto-tune segment for it. What am I drinking tonight? So tonight, you would not believe it, folks. You would not believe this with me talking about how I'm trying to be healthier about social media. You would not believe it, but tonight I am doing the do. I am drinking regular ass Mountain Dew. This segment is not sponsored in any way by Mountain Dew. They have not given me any money, and they take my money. They take my money because I'm addicted to Mountain Dew. Not like super addicted, not like I need rehab addicted, but if there's a soda and the option is not vanilla Coke, I'm going with some sort of Mountain Dew. I really like Baja Blast. That's probably the best of the dews. But sometimes folks, you just got to do the do because you don't want to don't the do, because then you'll wish you did the do, is my 2 cents on the matter of Mountain Dew. So, pour it if you got it, Mountain Dew. We're going to go ahead and play our first song of the night, which is a very, very special song because I made it. I'm going to start. It's not a very good song. I'll start by saying that it's not a very good song, but I as you know, I got Autotune, figured out how to use a free version of Autotune. And so I'm back to making music. And so this song is called Movies. It is an unreleased song. I'm going to try to do one song a week, even if it's not particularly good, just to get in the habit of creating more and having more music for the show. So the song is called Movies. It is not up anywhere, but I do have other music on Bandcamp, omniasolart.bandcamp.com, spelled just like the show title. And so this song is called Movies. I hope you like it, and we'll be back with you after the jump. I just want to go to the movies, grab some popcorn, and forget all my problems. I just want to go to the movies, sit in the front row, and think about the dramatic family drama of the Fast and the Furious family. I just want to go to the movies and turn off all the bullshit. I just want to go to the movies and pretend like we haven't been quarantined for almost a year. I just want to go to the movies. I just want to go to the movies. I just want to go to the movies. I don't even give a fuck if this movie wins the Oscar gold. I just want to turn off my fucking goddamn brain for a second. I just want to go to the movies. I don't care how expensive the soda is, just give me a goddamn vanilla Coke in the largest fucking glass you have. I just want to go to the movies. I just want to watch previews. I just want to complain about commercials before the previews. I just want to laugh at the previews. I just want to talk during the previews. I just want to go to the movies. I just want to go to the movies. I just want to go to the movies. All right, folks, and we are back. That was Movies by your host, Omnia Sol, an unreleased song that will be released at some point, but you heard it here first on the Omnia Sol Art Show. Now it's time for my favorite segment of the show. You know what time it is. You know that it is time for Card of the Show. All right, folks, so it is time for Card of the Show. As you know, this is the segment of the show where I read a tarot card on air, and it should apply to your life if you're listening at home or if you're watching the podcast on the YouTubes. So take the advice from this card. Also, if you ever have any questions, you want me to read your tarot on air, feel free to send me an email, omniasolart@gmail.com, or comment on the YouTube. Or also, I have a Google Voice number that is, let me double check on that. I always forget what the number is, but no one's called, so it's not like it's a super urgent pressing matter, but it's still good to know what the number is. So that number is 262-612-3069. So you can call in, leave a voicemail, and I can read your tarot on air. But anyways, this is card of the show. So we are going to go ahead and shuffle the deck. And I'm going to preface this segment by saying that I had a little too much Mountain Dew and I'm a little over caffeinated for this segment. My mind's a little racing all over the place, but we're still going to try to do the best job we can. Going to shuffle it 3 times, but first I'm going to clean off my desk a little condensation from the glass of Mountain Dew. Don't want to ruin my tarot cards. All right, so this is the first shuffle. Some nice ASMR for the viewers at home. I don't know if shuffling cards is... I'm not entirely sure what ASMR is, but I assume that this is pleasurable radio. Shuffle number 2. And finally, but most importantly, here is shuffle number 3. And the card of the show is... Any guesses? Any guesses, folks? The card of the show is the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands. I don't remember if this has been on the show before. I don't remember what the card of the show was last week. I hope it's not. I shuffled the deck enough, but sometimes the tarot's like, hey... Sometimes you don't shuffle it enough, and sometimes the tarot's like, hey, you really need to see this card. But the Knight of Wands... it's a knight with a wand, obviously, but he's on a horse that's galloping. There's the 3 pyramids in the background, and on his kind of cloak that's over his armor, there is a salamander figure that almost looks like an Ouroboros, because it's like a circular salamander that looks like it's like biting his own tail. Speaking of lizards, there's Godzilla on the screen right now. What a coincidence. But anyways, so the Knight of Pentacles is kind of... the horse seems to be racing. He's going somewhere. And of course, the Wands is the fire sign. This is a very fiery card. But we're going to go ahead and see what the actual tarot definition is, not just me riffing, although I do love to riff. So this card says the divination meaning is a friendly young man, intelligent, energetic, hasty, change of residence, emigration, departure. The Knight of Wands is a card of energetic movement. The card can represent a hasty person who should slow down and thus enable themselves to find the buried treasure within. This card can represent a friend or a lover with a very generous nature. It can also indicate a change in residence, sometimes even emigration, with a hasty departure. Or a new adventure is coming to you in the near future. This card represents people who love action, enjoy adventure, people who sometimes throw caution to the wind and act impulsively. People represented by the Knight of Wands can also be very protective of those in need and some sort of aid or assistance. If this is you, remember to take time out and sit still for 5 minutes to think instead of trying to achieve everything at once. If you take this advice, you will find that your adventures will work better. So that is the card of the show. I hope that you enjoy that segment. And once again, that was card of the show. I gotta say, folks, I cannot get enough of these auto-tune segments. This was the best idea I've ever had. It sounds so good. I love auto-tune so much. So this weekend, of course, was Thanksgiving. It's a strange holiday. I don't know why I get why we still celebrate it, even though it's a colonizer holiday and we need to decolonize and we need to give land back to Native people. We need to give them money, reparations to both all the black diaspora, all the immigrants of this nation, as well as, of course, our indigenous population who have faced genocide and have faced like the worst atrocities known to man. But it is good to give thanks. If it is possible in the future to separate this holiday from the pilgrim mythology, it is good to give thanks. And of course, I said on the last show, I was not able to go home for Thanksgiving. It's just too risky with my parents being older. So I decided to stay at home, but I did have some time off since you request time 2 weeks in advance. And so took some time. I did a lot of cleaning around the house. I've been cleaning out my closet. And I learned how to make corn souffle because for me, it's not a Thanksgiving meal without corn souffle. I'd never made it myself. And the funny thing about the corn souffle, it's an old family recipe that goes all the way back to maybe before my grandma, but I know my grandma makes it. And my grandma actually, rest in peace, but my grandma actually submitted the recipe to her church cookbook. And for whatever reason, they misspelled it and wrote it as corn scuffle. And then proceeded to put it in the bread section, which if you thought this was bread, boy, were you wrong, because this is a souffle. It's not bread, but now it's kind of a family tradition to call it corn scuffle. But it's a pretty simple recipe. I'm not much of a cook, not much of a baker, but I was able to make it happen, and it turned out good. It turned out really good. I'm glad that I was able to do that. And so for future, after COVID, after we finally get a vaccine and can have potlucks again, I'd love to make this my signature dish to bring to potlucks, because whenever there is a potluck, I never know what to bring because I don't know really how to cook or bake. It's not a big hobby that I've ever taken up, and so it'd be very nice to when potlucks are back, to bring the corn souffle. That's my plan, and I want to say. I want to give a big shout out to my friend, Dio, who is, they are currently recovering from surgery, and they watched the first episode and they gave me some advice to put more title cards. And I had talked to them about wanting to use Autotune, and they suggested using more Autotune. And I just want to say, get well soon. And I hope you're enjoying, hope that recovery is going well. And thank you for the advice on the show. What a great friend. So I've been thinking about getting a GoPro, but I don't know how dorky GoPros are. The reason I'm looking into some sort of GoPro device is because I really want to do more, like, obviously this will always have a VHS element to the show, but I want to film more just to avoid copyright claims, but two, as the show evolves, there's only so many VHS tapes that you can glitch. And I want to be able to add my own footage and glitch that, which I figured out how to do, but I want to be able to add more art elements. So I would like to film myself painting from a first person perspective. So I'm thinking about getting some sort of equivalent to a GoPro, whether that's an actual GoPro or just strapping my phone to my head with duct tape. But keep on the lookout for that, because that might be coming up. I don't know how, speaking of corn souffle, I don't know how corny GoPros are, but sometimes you got to GoPro to GoPro. There's not our life and society is so just saturated with corporations that I keep just talking about items that exist and happening to name drop brands, and it sounds like I'm advertising them, and I'm fucking not. I'm not advertising for GoPro. I just am wondering, are GoPros corny? So sound off in the comments. Are GoPros corny? Let your voice be heard, folks. All right, we're going to go ahead and play the second song of the show. So this next song is by More Ease. The song is called Progress in Therapy, featuring Claire Rousey, and it's off the album Mary, which is streaming on all platforms, but you can also find it on orangemilkrecords.bandcamp.com, and you can find more music by More Ease at moreease.bandcamp.com. That's spelled MOREEAZE. So we'll be back with you after the jump. All right, so that was Progress in Therapy by More Ease featuring Claire Rousey off the album Mary, which is streaming on all platforms, but you can also find it at orangemilkrecords.bandcamp.com, and you can find more Ease at moreease.bandcamp.com. So check that out. And of course, as always, the Bandcamp links will be in the show notes. So go support the musicians and artists that make the Omnia Sol Art Show possible. All right, so next up, we have a segment of the show where I read from a book, and I don't know what to name this segment, so if you have any suggestions, let me know. In the meantime, this segment is going to be titled, It's Time for Words, Words, Word. It's time for words, words, words. It's time for words, words, words. Words, words, words. So for this section of Words, 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 we are continuing with our reading of the Tao Te Ching, and we are going with, I don't know if it's chapter or page, but number 42 in the Tao Te Ching, Children of the Way, and this is the Ursula K. Le Guin translation. 42. Children of the Way. The way bears one. The way bears two. The two bear three. The three bear the 10,000 things. The 10,000 things carry the yin on their shoulders and hold their arms the yang, and hold in their arms the yang, whose interplay of energy makes harmony. People despise orphans, widowers, outcasts. Yet that's what kings and rulers call themselves. Whatever you lose, you've won. Whatever you win, you've lost. What others teach, I say too. Violence and aggression destroy themselves. My teaching rests on that. And there's a little note under it that says, beginning with a pocket cosmology, this chapter demonstrates, see, it's a chapter. So next time when I do this, I'm going to call it a chapter. This chapter demonstrates the interplay of energy, of yin and yang, by showing how low and high, winning and losing, destruction and self-destruction reverse themselves, each turning into its seeming opposite. So there you go. That was It's Time for Words, Words, Word. It's time for words, words, words. It's time for words, words, words. Words, words, words. All right. I hope you all enjoyed that segment of Words, Words, Words. And if you do have a suggestion for a better name for the segment, let me know. Sound off in the comments. Shoot me an email. Let's, Words, Words, Words is a pretty shitty name for a segment where I read from whatever book. But yeah, we're working through the Tao Te Ching. I don't know what's next. I don't know, but something good, something to make you think, something that you can apply to your life, something that helps you both on a creative and spiritual level. That is the goal of Words, Words, Words. So we're going to go ahead and play our third song of the night, which is by one of my favorite artists, David Brown. The song is called The Sun Shines in My Morning Office, and it's off the album Is Similar To, which you can find on streaming platforms, but also I think you should go buy it on Bandcamp, because we got to support these artists who are working their ass off to give us quality music. And Spotify is a pyramid scheme. We all know it's true. So go support them on Bandcamp. That's Das Bastard or Das Bastard, however you want to pronounce it. dasbastard.bandcamp.com. DASBASTARD.bandcamp.com. Of course, they'll throw the link up in the show notes for you as always. And go support David Brown. And I hope you enjoy the song. And we'll be back with you after the song.
Little paper song, a litany to the end. 15th of October, the new Ambrosian hymn. Oh, a lesson from the apocalypse recited by heart. A big candy-colored hymnals and chocolate-covered hymns. Your vocal cords are worth $1,000,000, we'll pretend. Oh, oh, you wait to shout the signals, the angels will project straight to Saint Benedict, their earthly architect. Oh, 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 and it's all a bit different on the weekday. Your words are all so meaningless, your melody's all the same. You never found a system to believe in or to claim. Oh, 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 so you're searching like the rest of us, but want the world to know. You're gardening for garden's sake, you're so and so and so. Oh, oh, and it's all a bit different on the weekday.
And we are back. So once again, that song was The Sun Shines in My Morning Office by David Brown off the album Is Similar To. And you can go support David Brown at dosbastard.bandcamp.com. All right, folks. So before we head out and call it quits for this show today, I think it was a very good episode. I hope you all enjoy episode 2 of the Omnia Sol Art Show as much as I enjoy making it. But I just want to say that the release date for the show, we were trying to put them out on Sundays, but it just with my schedule, it looks like it's going to be new episodes are going to come out on Mondays because I finishing up recording and piecing this all together on Sundays. So the episode will be put out on Sundays. And actually, when I talked about potentially getting a GoPro to film myself painting, it kind of relates to this painting that I've been working on that was originally a painting of the sun that is transitioning into a painting of the moon. And just like the show, of course, there's always going to be, Omnia Sol, everywhere sun, but it's transitioning from Sunday to Moon Day. And that transition, it's similar to how, if you think about the moon, it shines because of the sun. It reflects the light of the sun. So just as I am putting in the work and making this show happen on a Sunday, it will be a gift to the world on Moon Day, on Monday. So look forward to that. New episodes hopefully coming out Mondays. And of course, we have my weekly comic strip, which comes out weekly, a week early for Patreon patrons, and then everywhere else a week later, but those come out on Wednesdays, so check in with that. And I think that's all we got for the show tonight. I think we had a pretty good show. It looks like we're it's funny, I originally planned this for be an hour-long show, and last week's episode only ended up being around 45 minutes, and it looks like this week's episode is also going to be around 45 minutes. Sometimes that's just how it is. So folks, thank you so much for tuning in to the Omnia Sol Art Show. And if you want to support the show, patreon.com/Omnia Sol Art. For just $1 a month, you get early access to my comic strip ZZZ, as well as all bonus episodes of the show. And anytime I do a live episode on Twitch, the live episodes will go up on Patreon behind the paywall. So check it out. Support the show, please. Keep this show going. I'd like to do it as long as I can. So please go support the show on Patreon, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to all the musicians who let me use their music on the show. And take care of yourself. Stay safe, stay strong, and keep on making art. Goodbye.